It was so hard. I was fighting back my tears. I think I entered the frustration phase when I got sick. I got really sick, and I just found myself getting really frustrated. I started feeling a certain level of resentment. I got tired of... So hey there, and welcome back to the channel. It's Chilo here once again. As always, if you're new to my channel or you're seeing this video for the first time, my name is Chioma, aka Chilo. I'm a Nigerian and I'm currently living and studying here in Japan. From my analytics recently and over times, I know that a lot of foreigners watch my channel. Because of this, there is need to balance it, because I know a lot of times my videos just show you the upbeat part. I won't lie, most parts of my life here in Japan is upbeat, but this doesn't mean that it's always upbeat or I have always been this way. I have come a long way to be this way, so that if you're in any of these phases where you feel like you're not coping or thereabout, you understand that I've been there. Secondly, guys, for some time, I think around last year, YouTube just kept recommending this particular woman's channel to me, Mrs. Eat. I love her channel, guys. She's a Japanese person, a Japanese woman, but I love that she speaks about the silent things that probably foreigners are scared to talk about. Like a typical example, they kept recommending Why You Hate Living in Japan, that she did. She talks about the things that, you know, foreigners would likely face when they come to Japan, probably because she's married to a foreigner. Her husband is not Japanese, although he's Asian, but he's not Japanese. And secondly, because she actually has lived outside Japan, I think New Zealand precisely, so she kind of have a very balanced perspective of life. Now I'm going to be doing something like a mini reaction to the video I just talked about, Why You Hate Living in Japan. Now she has spoken about it from a Japanese person's perspective, although she's married to a foreigner, has experience outside Japan. But I'm going to talk about, for everything she said, I'm going to give you practical examples as a foreigner. Now, subtle disclaimer, guys, very subtle disclaimer, this video is in no way discouraging you from coming to Japan. I've been living in Japan for more than 3 years now. I'm pursuing my 4th year in Japan, and I've had more of positive experiences, but it's proper we tell people that no place is perfect. Yeah, I have my phone here and I'm going to do a mini screen recording of the major points in her video that I want to, you know, build up on, give you practical examples.
I know so many people from overseas that moved to Japan and hated it.
I lived briefly in Japan a while ago. The year I spent in Japan was probably the most unhappy of my life.
So guys, this is very true. I know a lot of people that came to Japan, and in the first 3 months they are tired, they are done. The truth is, this thing is not only a Japan thing. When you leave your home country to any place that has a different culture, that has a different way of life, a different way of seeing life or thinking or viewing life, it is highly possible. So let's get back into the video.
So, because most of you who are watching this video might be interested in living in Japan or moving to Japan in the future, so I thought it would be a great idea to ask Mr. Eat to talk about his own experience and how he's been dealing with it.
Okay guys, let's talk about culture shock like you saw in the video. Now, one thing I want to talk about culture shock especially is a lot of times when people hear culture shock, it's a term that is loosely used. It's very loosely used. People will just say, oh, culture shock, and you feel like it's one thing, like it's a phase, you know, it is encompassing. But no, culture shock actually is in phases. It's just an I think it's an accumulation of, you know, different things in the new country you've gone to. Japan being our case study in this video, it's not like, as the name implies, you see the culture and it shock you, and or you have electric shock going through your body. It accumulates over time, you know, mentally and all those things. So yeah, I just wanted to put it out there that because I struggled with accepting the term culture shock, you know, there is this thing as Nigerians, we just feel like we can cope anywhere. So when I heard the term culture shock, I was like, no culture can shock me. So let's get back into a part of the video that I want to give my personal examples.
Welcome to the honeymoon phase.
Now, the very first phase, just like you said, is the honeymoon phase. Guys, the honeymoon phase is that phase where you're just so excited. Nobody can tell you nada. Probably all your life you've been watching anime, manga, and all those things, and you're finally in Japan. I'll give you my example. When I first came to Japan, I was so excited. It was my first time outside Nigeria. It was my first abroad experience. So you can imagine how my excitement. It was over the moon. I remember I would take pictures at any place, at every time, in anywhere. I remember I would take picture on the zebra line when the light is saying green. I would just ask someone. At least my first 4 months, I would say, or 6 months in Japan, I was excited. My gallery was full. My pictures, my memory card, like the phone I came with from Nigeria that I was using at the time got tired of me. I was excited. Even as much as I didn't understand the language, I was excited to hear something different from English. I was excited to see people think differently. I was excited to experience a different way of worship. I'm a Christian in church. I was just over the moon. The thing to note is honeymoon phase is not just about Japan. Honeymoon phase happens in every single thing. It happens even in relationships. When you enter a relationship newly or a friendship newly, that first phase, your body, you're just so excited, you're happy, you're anticipating calls, anticipating text message. When you join a lab newly, you're so excited about the experiment. Honeymoon phase is an inevitable phase for every new experience that you go through as a human being. So I just wanted to put that. Now, another thing to note is that for the honeymoon phase, it varies from individual to individual how long you would stay on the honeymoon phase. Like I said, for me, it was like 6 months or 5 months thereabouts. There are people that is 1 week. There are people that is 1 day. There are people that is 1 hour. So let's go to the second phase, guys.
Dark place in life. The second phase of culture shock. The frustration phase. Now, once you hit the peak of happiness during the honeymoon phase, you'll start to get used to the new world around you. And your happiness will actually begin to decline pretty quickly. The things you found most...
So the second phase of culture shock is actually the frustration phase. Yes, you heard right. Now, for the frustration phase, it's more like you are now so exhausted. Now, there are a lot of things that make people go into the frustration phase. You get tired, you start getting tired of routine, you start getting tired of having to explain yourself over and over again because you do not speak the language. You're tired of routine. You're tired of you have to wake up in the morning, go to the lab. Literally, now, in Japan, right, guys, in Japan, there is something that makes it very easy for you to get into a routine, monotony. Japan is very predictable. Their transportation system, everything is so efficient. I can literally plan my life tomorrow, next tomorrow, down to, all things being equal, not things greater than me, like as a human being. The time the bus will come, it is never late, the train and all that. Now, unlike, let's say, in your home country, wherever you're coming from, where the bus could be 5 minutes late, and in that 5 minutes of lateness you get to interact with people that are at the bus station or at the bus stop, and you're just having the time of your life and you make friends on the bus. Japan is more like you're just like, it's more like you're just moving, you're on the road from this train to the next bus, from this bus to the next bus. Also, another thing with Japan is the people are very, very shy. Or another thing that could trigger the frustration phase is volatility in friendships. That's what I think I want to term it. Now, a lot of times foreigners are more prone to make friends to fellow foreigners, but the problem with that is most times the foreigners in this country have a timeline, a time span. Like example, a foreigner after masters or PhD is leaving the country, is leaving the lab, and you find out that there's a particular phase, you find out that you don't have friends. Like, it feels like you do not have friends again because all your friends have graduated. Just recently, guys, last week we had a graduation for a set in my lab, and it hit me really hard because I just realized that this was one of the closest people and friends I had made in the lab. And I remember when they were saying goodbye, Chioma, it was hard for them too, because we had become friends. You know, they are graduating from masters and they got a job. They are Japanese people actually. It was so hard. I was fighting back my tears. I think I entered the frustration phase when I got sick. I got really sick sometime in 2019, early part of the year, and that was when it dawned on me that I don't know how to speak the language. I will go to the hospital and I will feel a bit frustrated, even though the person is an English doctor. They will most times assign it to an English doctor, but you know, there are some terms as an English speaker that is the easiest thing to come out, but it's a bit big for the person who English is not the person's first language. And I just found myself getting really frustrated because it felt like I couldn't explain myself and I was weak. I started feeling a certain level of resentment. I got tired of food too. I couldn't cook, so I was eating a lot of the Japanese food, and their taste bud is quite different. So I think that was my frustration phase. A lot of people who in this frustration phase, you know, get diagnosed with, you know, depression, you know, and so many other things. Yeah, there's the frustration phase. So let's go into the next phase.
And the culture of Japan have nothing to do with whatever you're angry at. But thankfully, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's called the adjustment phase.
Like he rightly said, most times what you feel like you're going through, that resentment you feel you are feeling at the food or something, it has nothing to do with Japan. It has nothing to do with the Japanese people. It just has a lot to do with you, maybe your expectations and all. So let's talk about the adjustment phase and how it's related to me. Now for the adjustment phase, guys, you just find yourself getting more comfortable to ask for help. You find yourself being a little bit more independent. You find yourself managing your expectations a lot more. You find yourself balancing things out. You find yourself making friends that now make you start enjoying, you know, the country. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about my adjustment phase. After I got well, I started realizing that part of my problem was I grew up being a very independent person. I am not one that loves asking for help, and it's more difficult here in Japan. In Japan, because they are not vocal people and because they are very shy people, even if they notice that all is really not well with you, except the person is your friend, they may not ask you. So you have to be the one to ask for help. So for the adjustment phase, I found myself being more comfortable to ask for help. I would chat up my church member and say, oh, I'm moving apartments, please, do you have time? Can you assist me? Can you help me? And most times, trust me, they will always say yes. You know, I found myself asking for help even from my neighbors, Japanese people, you know, Chinese people, whoever my neighbors were. I started to pick up survival Japanese. I know the little words that I need to just throw into a sentence. Let's see the last phase, guys.
These little wins to problems in your life that make things a lot easier on yourself. And then eventually you're going to hit the final phase of culture shock, and that is the acceptance phase.
Okay, the final phase is the acceptance phase, guys, and I think that's the phase that a lot of you met me on. I'm just at that point where I am enjoying my space. I manage my expectations so well. Like, I'm at that point where I make excuses for people. This person is different. Just the same way they find you a very different person, it's the same way this person is different. I found myself not expecting them to speak very clean English, because that's the same way I do not speak very fluent Japanese. So I think some of you told me in one of my videos that you notice that when I am talking to Japanese people, I unconsciously start talking slower and I use my body and I try to, you know, explain what they are saying to you people. Trust me, guys, I don't know when I'm doing that. It's just something that has now come to stay. I've just accepted, you know, them. Acceptance phase also make you realize that the problem is not Japan. The problem is not Japanese people. The problem is just the posture of your mind and how you're viewing things and how your expectations are not tallying with your reality. I'm going to share some tips that will help you if you're facing any culture shock, if you're on any of the level, especially if you're on the frustration phase. Some people stay in the frustration phase for for 1 year. Some people stay for just few months. I think I stayed in my frustration phase for just, I think it was just like 3 months. That was my frustration phase. When I got well, it was all at the back of my mind. So the very first tip they talked about, and I will share my practical example, is accept the culture shock. Accept that you are facing culture shock. Now, like I said before, I struggled with acceptance. Now, I remember this day I went for rehearsal. I went to the rehearsals and my pastor could see I was sick, and he goes, "Oh, Chioma, do you think you're going through culture shock?" And immediately, guys, I shut it down. He was like, "Why do you think so?" I said, "Because I've been here for 6 months." Because in my head, culture shock, literally, like the name implies, is just culture that is shocking you. I didn't know that maybe I've been in the honeymoon phase for several months and now I'm currently in the maybe frustration phase. So don't fight it, don't deny it. Anybody that is leaving their home country to any country that is not their home country, be it the West, be it Asia, there is a high probability that you would experience culture shock. So when it comes, don't deny it. Second tip I will give, like they also said, is learn the language. Now, I'm not good with language, and learning language as an adult is not as easy as children learning language. But what I will always tell people is learn survival words. Pick up words. I can walk into a place and just by conjuring one word from here, one word from here, one word from here, and my body language, they will understand. Also, make use of your Google Translate a lot of times. Now, the third tip that they gave, make friends. Make friends. I think I've said this so many times in my videos. Guys, please make friends, especially with the locals. Try to initiate conversations. Make friends with the locals. They are even more, they know a lot of things that you probably don't know. They are better suited to advise you in situations you find yourself. Make friends. It has saved me a lot of times. The fourth thing I'm going to say is focus on your happiness. Anything that makes you happy and makes you feel closer to home, be intentional about it. It could be clothes, it could be music, it could be food. If you watched my video of what I eat in a week in Japan, a lot of people were like, "Hey, you have Uber in Japan, hey this." I love food, and part of what makes me feel close to home is eating local delicacy. So I cook. There's sometimes that it helps you even relieve stress. Maybe I'm coming back from the lab and I'm just like, what I'm craving now, like what would just make me smile a bit to be able to even watch Netflix more, is eating abacha. And I will just come, put the abacha in hot water, do it, start eating, and I'll just be happy. So surround yourself with things that make you happy. Music too. Oh my god, you don't even want to know how I cook. When I'm bulk cooking, I'm playing my Nigerian music, I'm dancing, I'm in the mood, I'm in the groove, I'm happy. It could be trends, it could be whatever. For me, when I talk with my elder sister especially, she will always tell me, "Chioma, you know things that are trending in Nigeria more than me that is in the Nigeria. See, any slangs that come out, I know the meaning, best believe." I had a lot of people that watched my slangs video say, "Oh, they are in Nigeria and they don't know it." And I'm like, yo, me, I know it. Like, another thing could be your house. I always tell people this: make your house a home. A lot of times as foreigners, it's very easy for you to say, I'll just be here for my master's, it's not just 2 years, and then you don't put your house in order. Or you say, I'm just here for language school, it's not just 6 months. I get it short-lived. But if you can make your house a bit comfortable, trust me, it has a large impact on you. But how about you see it this way? 1 month of toxicity, it could take you 1 whole decade to correct it. And the last point is manage your expectations. Manage your expectations. I think we are in a generation where everybody expects everybody to be them, but it's not possible. It's wrong, or it's not fair for you to expect Japanese people to behave like you. It's also wrong for Japanese people to expect you to behave like them. Tell me in the comment section if you love mini reaction videos about the other side of living in Japan like these. Guys, the original video is in the description box. If you want to watch it, I advise you watch it. Alright guys, thank you so much. Drop your comments. What do you think about this video? I hope you find this video helpful. I hope it makes you relax and know that you're not out of place. I know that Chilo did not just jump into this phase. Thank you so much once again for watching. See you next time on Chilotalks. Bye for now, guys.